Red button means we're live. Some Casual Takes podcast with your boy Steven Pepper, here to give some takes off my chest. Yes, you heard that right. Some Casual Takes podcast. If you are new here and you're not an OG, let me explain. When I first started this platform about a year and a half ago, it was actually a podcast. I would have an hour to maybe 2 hour long episodes multiple times a week. I'd have all these guests on and we'd run down a billion topics and talk sports, give off our takes. And it was pretty cool. But a couple months ago, school got tough. I started getting busy as myself, and I can't help but say, got a little lazy. So I stopped producing as much content, and it means the podcast kind of went away. But in order to keep myself more consistent and so I can keep working on this podcast, because at the end of the day, guys, this podcast platform was created for me to get more experience to host my own show because I want to be a sports talk show host in the future. I started doing the A casual take and shorter some casual takes just so I can put some stuff out there and focus energy on a couple of segments. But now that it's summer, I really want to start bringing the podcast back, go through more segments, give longer form content, which helps me host longer form shows, and I can bring guests on here. And it's also more content for you guys. But as you can tell, we're going to launch kind of like a first episode today, rebrand. But as you can tell, I'm in a hotel right now. I usually stay in a hotel during my internship. I have an internship as a sports news intern in Cincinnati. I stay there at the beginning of each week for a couple of days. So I'm going to be in here. So I'm going to test out what it's like to stream and go live on this podcast inside a hotel. Right now, it looks good. This backdrop, honestly, is way more clean than seeing my LED lights in my bedroom, in my bed, and all my toys on the shelf. This looks like a much clean background, but that's why I'm in this hotel. But let's get started with the first episode of bringing the podcast back. Let's start with Dan Hurley in my Lakers. So one of my favorite quotes ever is from the Godfather, when Don Corleone says, "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse." I say that because I believe if you want someone to do something for you, you make them an offer you can't refuse. And it doesn't matter if Hurley still would have declined the Lakers job to return to UConn. 6 years, $70 million. That ain't no Godfather offer. And I was told for days by Woj, massive contract incoming from the Lakers to Hurley, which it is in the sense that Hurley has the same amount of NBA coaching experience as me. But Bus and Plinka, guys, get real. If you're trying to pry Hurley from UConn, his dream job, a place where he's basically a biblical figure in Storrs, Connecticut. His family loves the area. He has all the power in the school. He's about to get a raise, and he has a chance for basketball immortality, joining John Wooden as one of the only coaches to ever win 3 straight national titles. You better walk into that meeting and say, yeah, try to refuse $100 million. And surprise, surprise, the Lakers didn't. They absolutely lowballed Hurley. And once again, the aura of the Laker brand cannot save the pockets of this cheap organization. Like yesterday, all the headlines and talks about this Hurley situation, that was a bad look for the Lakers. It's never a good look to be seen as cheap. I remember yesterday, we were at a nice little store. My brother said, yo, where's the cheap section at? You should never be seen as cheap. It's a bad look in public. And, I watched Winning Time, the start of the Showtime Lakers. I saw a good show, by the way, should not have been canceled. I saw Dr. Jerry Buss when he bought the team. He's just throwing money at everything. The players behind the scenes, they try to get the coach in 79 from UNLV to make him the highest paid NBA coach in the league. He had no experience. They try to make Coach K in, I believe, 2004, the highest paid coach in NBA history. He had no experience in the NBA. Jeanie, on the other hand, is nowhere like his dad, and it's getting clear by the year. Like I remember in 2019, they tried to get Ty Lue to coach LeBron to replace Luke Walton. They gave him a joke of a contract. He was like, what is that? I'm not becoming the Lakers coach. You just see me as a guy who likes LeBron. And they settled with Frank Vogel. Now, shout out to Vogel for winning a championship, but it was clear that he was the second option because they went cheap on Ty Lue. And I'm a firm believer that even with coaches, if you want to get somebody on your team, you better throw some money at him if he has suitors. And we just saw a prime example of that last season from the Detroit freaking Pistons, who are the worst team in the league. They are in the middle of a rebuild. They're so far down this hole that if you go to the Pistons, your career is going to die there. You're going to win one game a year. And the Pistons, Monty Williams, who, albeit he just got fired before he became a Piston, was a year removed from a coach of the year and 2 years removed from coaching the finals. He was respected as a head coach. They showed him top $4, and he became a Detroit Piston. So if the Lakers were truly serious about getting Dan Hurley, they should have offered him at least Monty money. You know, if I were the Lakers, who are worth double as a franchise according to Forbes and the Pistons, I would have handed Dan Hurley top 3 money. I would have made him $13-14 million. I don't care that he doesn't have NBA experience. If you're prying him from his dream job, you make him an offer he can't refuse. And just over $11 million, or I think if you break it down, it's like $11 million, something like that. And then after LA tax, and then given that he's going to get a raise in stores, he ain't going to come to this Lakers job. And now the Lakers are forced to, I guess. I don't know if this was planned all along, but now that they've cheaped out Hurley, to stick with J.J. Redick as their front runner, as their head coach. Once again, the Genie Bus era Lakers going cheap and stuck with their second option. I got a poster of all these mob bosses and Don Corleone's in the middle because it's one of my favorite movies, favorite quotes ever. I'm going to make him an offer you can't refuse. If you want someone to do something for you, someone to come to your team, come over to you, when he's got suitors and has other options, you better make him an offer you can't refuse. And when the Lakers were meeting with him and they gave him 6-year, $70 million, and he was thinking about it, there was no chance he was going to accept that job. I think they should have showed him $100 million, but they didn't because they're cheap. And once again, the Lakers under Genie Bus, just relying on that. We have LeBron. We're the Lakers. Come sign with us for a discount. It's not working, and their thin pockets have screwed them on another coaching hire. I would have gave Dan Hurley like $100 million. Okay, let's switch to this. Let's talk some football. I haven't talked football on here in a long time. Been so wrapped up on basketball, but now we're doing a podcast. I think I can squeeze some football segments in here. So the Steelers and Tomlin are like a married couple that, still wear the ring, kind of love each other, but they're better off if they just get a divorce, man. The marriage clearly peaked in the honeymoon phase and has declined without a spike since. I mean, Tomlin won his first and only Super Bowl in his second season. That was 16 years ago. And he hasn't won a playoff game in 7. Now, I understand the Steelers do head coaches differently. They've only had 3 coaches in franchise history. Noel, Cowher, and now Tomlin. That is insane considering how long they've been an American sports franchise. But why are you extending Tomlin through 2027? He's going to be into year 21. Having a coach who's never had a losing season, that sounds great. But considering their roster, re-signing Tomlin limits the ceiling greatly. You were just asking to go 9-8, 10-7, grind the regular season, and possibly squeeze into that final wildcard spot in Week 18, and then immediately get bounced in the first round. This team is going nowhere with Tomlin. And I don't want to come off as a Mike Tomlin hater. I've been kind of critical of him on this platform. I love Mike Tomlin. I think I got to say this right now. I love Tomlin. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. He's accomplished a lot. He's brought him a Super Bowl. At the end of the day, he could tip his cap and say he brought him a Super Bowl. That's what coaches are supposed to do. And, if I had needed a coach to win me a Super Bowl, to motivate my squad, I wouldn't want anybody other than Mike Tomlin to lead my team. And as someone who's half African-American, he has been the face of African-American coaches in the NFL when African-American coaches do not get the opportunities as other coaches, especially getting 17 years on one franchise. But according to Art Rooney, the president, quote, extending his contract, him being Tomlin, for 3 more years reflects our confidence in his ability to guide the team back to winning playoff games and championships. I don't think they understand this, that Tomlin's greatest strength as a coach is going to be the Steelers franchise's greatest flaw going forward, and it's going to prevent them from winning championships. Because Tomlin, I think, might be the greatest floor raiser ever. The fact that he is 17 straight seasons, which is an NFL record for a coach starting a career, winning and squeezing into the playoffs sometimes with these quarterbacks and this limited offensive talent in offensive league is insane. And you got to tip your cap to him. But the Steelers, I think they need to look in the mirror and understand that they need to lose some ball games. Because in order to be that playoff winning championship level team with potential, you need to lose games. It's a quarterback league. And given that the Steelers quarterbacks in recent history, they're not good enough. Well, how do you upgrade at quarterback? Well, you mostly do that in the draft. And to get the top of the top quarterbacks, you got to get a top pick. But Steelers with Mike Tomlin will never, ever get a top pick. They're just going to be so good. They move off Ben Roethlisberger. Well, how'd they get Ben Roethlisberger in the first place? They had a top pick. They replaced him with Kenny Pickett. Well, Kenny Pickett doesn't work out. How? Maybe because it has something to do with he was like pick 20. And that 17 to 20 range is what the Steelers are going to be picking with Mike Tomlin. And in order to be that playoff and Super Bowl caliber team, you need a top quarterback. How the Bills, how the Chiefs, well, the Chiefs traded up. Maybe that's something the Steelers are going to look forward to going forward, is trading up in the draft and getting one of these top quarterbacks. But the Bengals, the Bills, unless you're the Ravens and you luck out and getting Lamar Jackson at 32, it's more likely you get the best quarterback, an elite quarterback, in the top of the draft. But with Mike Tomlin, which I don't think they should have extended him till year 21, because he's just going to make you go 9-8, 9-8 every year. And I know the Steelers do things differently. They have 3 head coaches in franchise history. They won the majority of their Super Bowls in the 70s. And the fact that they have 3 coaches is kind of insane. In American sports, where it feels like coaches get churned out. And the Steeler brand has been good my entire life. They've never sucked. But I think the reality is they need to suck. And with Mike Tomlin being extended to 2027, this team is never going to suck. And me personally, I would have not extended Mike Tomlin, especially for that long. I thought after the Bills game where they lost in the playoffs, that you give Mike Tomlin, just one more year and it's over. You just got a divorce. Just get a young offensive coach in there and just rebuild. But you can't rebuild with Mike Tomlin because he's not going to lose. So I don't agree with extending Mike Tomlin, but I understand why they did, because they don't want to be bad. Okay, one last thing before we get out of here. I want to talk a little bit about Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark, she got quote-unquote snubbed from the Olympic roster, and it has caused all kinds of debates. It's been a circus on the first takes of the world. All your media personalities are talking about it. They're leading shows off with it, and especially on Twitter. That weekend when they got announced that she was snubbed, it was insane what Twitter and the first takes of the world were saying. Now, I kind of avoid the topic. I didn't talk about it yesterday when it was at its highest, partly because I was busy, but it's also because I just have no true opinion on the matter. I'm kind of getting burnt out about this whole Caitlin Clark thing because we're not talking about basketball here. It's more political, and I kind of try to shy away from politics. But I just see truth on both sides here. Because on the one hand, Caitlin Clark getting stubbed is not a bad thing, because you can argue that she's not one of the 12 best players in the WNBA. And if you're trying to win a gold medal, you bring the 12 best players that make the best team to win gold. And she's also young. She's just 22 years old, fresh out of college. In FIBA basketball, international basketball is a little different. People are trying to win gold. You're playing against Europeans. You might get a little aggressive. Do you want a young person in there, or do you want a vet who's been there before and understands the moment? But on the other hand, Caitlin Clark is the hottest name, one of the hottest names in basketball, not just women's basketball, but men's basketball. And she has done so much for the game of women's basketball, bringing attention to the sport. You kind of need to ride the hot hand, ride the momentum, and put her on the team. Can you sacrifice? How big of a deal is it to just take the 12th man off the team when Team USA, this isn't men's basketball where the Europeans and the Canadians are good at basketball. USA is far and away better than the international on the women's side. You can sacrifice the 12th man. They won 7 straight goals. You can put Caitlin Clark on there. But again, I don't have a true opinion until I saw the Shams report. So according to Shams, Caitlin Clark has been announced as the top alternate for the Olympic team. And you probably just said to yourself, well, Steven, it's obvious that she was going to be an alternate. Thanks, Captain Obvious. We kind of all knew that. So what's the whole point of this segment? Well, of course she was going to be a top alternate. That's not my point. I don't want to sound like a girl here, but this report, it's giving leak. Team USA, the reason why I say this is because I was reading articles right when the news dropped that she got snubbed. And I saw in one of the articles is that Team USA generally in the past has not publicly announced its alternates. So when they release the roster, they do not publicly announce the alternate. But they did now. Why? And my take is Team USA felt all the backlash. They saw the screaming matches on First Take. They saw the drama on Twitter and all the negative headlines saying Team USA this, Team USA that. Oh, they're jealous of Caitlin Clark. How can you leave Caitlin Clark off the team? And they're like, you know what? Let's leak this out. Hey, guys, don't worry. Caitlin Clark, we didn't forget about her. She can be a top alternate for the team. Just if anyone drops out, Caitlin Clark's the first to call. She's going to get on a flight to Paris. That's why they leaked it. Listen, I don't have a true opinion on this Caitlin Clark thing. I don't have a problem with her not being on the roster, but it's clear that Team USA leaked. Team USA leaked Caitlin Clark being a top alternate because, again, if it's true, now I'm not the biggest follower of Team USA women's basketball, but if they don't announce the alternates generally in the past, this was clearly damage control to say, hey, she could be on the roster, guys. If someone drops out, let's just calm down. I think that's why Team USA did it. I think they just saw all the discourse online. This is getting kind of political, guys. And honestly, that's why I'm kind of avoiding Caitlin Clark in all the topics because I've talked Caitlin Clark many times in the past, saying she's a great player and what she's going to do for the women's game is phenomenal. But it's becoming less than basketball at this point. It's becoming more political than the game itself. And I think Team USA kind of wanted to calm the storm, say, hey, guys, let's relax. We're considering her, but this is our team. But she's an alternate. And I think that's why they leaked the report. But I appreciate people tuning into this episode, kind of bringing back the podcast vibe, longer episode. Going to have more, only had 3 segments today. Should assume have more in the future, but as you see, I'm in this hotel. But I think this was a great first episode back. My social medias is Some Casual Takes. Stay updated on all things related to the show that way. And until next time, see you.